me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Hey, everybody, what is going on?
Hurt my hand.
Welcome. Yeah, what was that? I confess.
I was trying to get my hand to confess.
Hopefully you
all
got
the
the
naughty
very
things.
Hopefully you got the very beginning. Yeah, oh geez, yeah. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Late Horror Show. I am Dino.
Tedrico.
Yes, and we do a weekly horror commentary, review, vlog, whatever you want to call it.
Bitch session.
Yeah, we just sit and talk horror movies, man. So this week we're gonna round out the kind of the trilogy, the OG trilogy of
OG
folk horror
trilogy.
Wicker Man,
starting with the first one, which is our last one.
Yeah, with this one,
which Witchfinder General, aka the Conqueror Worm.
Yes.
Here in the States. Stupid name for the movie.
I like Witchfinder General better.
Well, it should actually be, because it says in the credit, Matthew Hopkins Witchfinder General, but it's just Witchfinder General.
Okay.
Because it does say that when you're watching the movie, it does say Matthew Hopkins.
Okay, but AKA, yeah, whatever.
Kind of like Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter.
But hey, before we get into this, and we'll continue this here real quick, welcome all new viewers. I know I'm streaming on multiple platforms right now, so I will see if you guys put anything in the chat.
We got a lot of stuff in the hopper.
So, a lot of stuff in the hopper.
I didn't know we had a hopper.
But welcome. Be sure to subscribe to everything. Check out the links below and in the description box and all that good stuff. But, like I was saying, it's the trilogy, the original, the OG trilogy. I mean, I know we got... this Midsommar.
I love Midsommar,
which was fantastic.
Love
it. Going back to Wicker Man,
it's getting to be a popular genre again. I think there's been a few movies since
some folk horror.
But we did the Wicker Man way back, like 4
Number
years
one,
ago.
best folk horror ever in the history of cinema.
After the Blood on Satan's Claw.
You like that better?
I love Blood on Satan's Claw better than Wicker Man.
Really? All these years,
but keep in mind, both of them are near and dear to my heart. I mean, it's like picking between your two kids.
Right.
But I kind of like Blood on Satan's Claw better.
Something
just...
Wicker Man, I like that slow, I love Wicker Man.
That is never a wrong answer.
Right.
All right? You asked me which one I prefer, but your answer is not wrong.
No. But Blood on Satan's Claw is like right after that. It's very, very cool.
If you put Witchfinder General ahead of the other two, then your answer is wrong.
Hey, Raiders AK, must be hot in that room.
My God, dude, we got spotlights. We got lights up here. We got no air. Why do you think I have to wear this shirt that's got all these holes? I'm not wearing any underwear.
Oh, geez, we don't need to know that. But just to let you know, Felix, there's a lot of lights and stuff like that, but they're LED. They don't put off heat. But luckily it's very cold in this area down here in this room.
But what'd you say?
What? Very cold.
You and I have very different definitions of cold.
Ted's a hot man.
What's
What's
your
hot.
thermostat set on when you go to sleep at night?
71.
66.
Yeah.
All right, just saying.
I like cold too, but hey. But anyways, yeah.
That's right. Sun's out, guns out.
Yeah. So Wicker Man, Blood on Satan's Claw, and then we get Witchfinder General, and this was an okay movie. I know it's got a big following. It's a Vincent Price movie for God's sake.
People. When the first. When Scream Factory released the first Vincent Price box set.
Yes.
This movie being a part of it was a huge deal for a lot of people. This and Abominable Dr. Phibes.
Yes.
Which I like, but again, all the other movies on the set I liked way better than those two. I like the Dr. Phibes movies.
No, yeah, that's fantastic.
I really love the gothic horrors, the Edgar Allan Poe adaptations. Those are my jam.
I think I said this before, but my best Vincent Price movie is... Follow the House of Usher.
That's one of them. That's one of them. And another one of his that's really popular is the Tingler, which again I don't really care for that much. Yeah. People, ever since Blu-ray started, where's the Tingler? Where's the Tingler? The Tingler. I'll tell you where the Tingler's at.
Yeah. It's one of those B.
The best part's just seeing him get high on LSD. He shoots himself up with some LSD in it. Yeah. But it's one of those William Castle kind of. A little bit of William Castle goes a long way for me.
Yeah.
House on the Haunted Hill. I would have loved to have seen that
Mm-hmm.
in the theater, in the original.
Right.
1960 with the skeletons flying around and shit.
Yeah.
But
that would have been.
That would be a fun thing for a theater to do now, I think.
Heck yeah. James Gatz, why did the condom fly around the room? I don't know.
We are waiting for the answer.
Yeah, let me know the answer there. I'd like to know why. But this has a lot of historical significance too. It's based on two real life characters, played by Vincent Price and John Stern.
Or the character's names, Matthew Hopkins and John Stern.
Yeah.
It
was pissed off, he says. Good one, James. I like it.
I don't know if I've ever done that. Pee the condom off.
Oh, that was.
But
drink a lot. But anyways, yeah.
The came out in 1968. It was directed by kind of a up and coming director named Michael Reeves.
Yeah.
He was getting to be a little bit of a hot shot, I guess. He had directed The She-Beast.
Yeah, quite a few.
And he directed 3 films. And The Sorcerers with Boris Karloff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've seen both of those movies. They're okay.
Yeah.
This is probably the best directed film he did.
Okay.
But there's all this drama about the movie. Maybe before we talk about the movie, it's fun to talk about the drama.
Yeah,
okay?
no, too. And the director did eventually croak at the age of 25.
25.
He overdosed.
9 months.
Yeah.
He had a lot of depression issues, anxiety issues, and he overdosed on a dose of barbiturates. I don't believe it was thought to have been purposeful.
Right.
But he and his writing partner,
mm-hmm.
Tom Baker, not Doctor Who Tom Baker, but
right.
Tom Baker, conceived this to star Donald Pleasance.
Real quick, continue that.
Uh-huh.
But I haven't seen you in here in a long time. Celtic Girl, what is going on? Welcome to the YouTube chat. I am shocked you thought it was just okay. I just recently saw Witchfinder. That movie is spectacular. When I say okay, I mean I was kind of going towards Wicker Man, Blood and Satan's Call. This one was okay.
I can explain why I think it's okay.
But go ahead. Yeah.
Just before I jump back into the drama. Yeah. It almost seems like Vincent Price is a secondary character in his own movie. He's really not in it that much.
Yeah.
He was made to give a subdued performance.
Yeah.
That's what the director wanted. Did not want that over-the-top, chewing the scenery kind of performance that Vincent can give.
And there was a lot of stretched out scenes of, them running on.
But the other characters are pretty good to keep you interested.
Yep.
And I like Ian Ogilvy. He's been in some other films. He's been in a Hammer movie. Yeah, he has. They've all been.
She saw it on satellite TV with the different name.
What, the Conqueror Worm? Or?
Yeah, probably the Conqueror Worm.
That's the U.S. version where it has Vincent Price narrating a little bit of the poem at the beginning and the end. And that was just marketing to tie it in with, to the Edgar Allan Poe series of Roger Corman. But the drama came from, they wanted Donald Pleasance from Halloween. That's who they wrote it for.
Of course.
And that's who they wanted. But once AIP, American International Pictures, got involved as a financier... Mm-hmm. It was a split British-American production. They put up enough money to where they said, no, we want you to take our guy, Vincent Price.
Yeah. No Peter Cushing in this movie.
Oh, God, I wish. It would have elevated it to Nirvana.
Well, Celtic Girl says
he would have been good.
Of course he would.
Cold-blooded. He did kind of play a character like that in Twins of Evil.
Yeah.
Kind of a similar character.
Yeah.
And so
I'm trying to remember who she's talking about, though. She says the other English guy is amazing in it. Peter something.
She's got to be talking about Peter Cushing, man. That's who she's got to be talking about.
Can't be talking about Witchfinder General, then.
Honey, are you thinking Twins of Evil with the twin girls in it, baby? Because he plays a character just like that in that movie.
Yeah, this is Witchfinder General with Vincent Price. So totally different movie. I thought the General was Peter.
Or, maybe you were just...
No, the General's Vincent Price. So,
okay. Yeah. Or maybe you just got your actors mixed up, because it happens to me sometimes. Yeah. Once the director found that he was stuck with Vincent Price... I mean, what a horrible thing to say. You're stuck with Vincent Price.
Right.
He just throughout the entire production antagonized him.
Peter Fuller. Okay.
Like even
sorry, I'm looking at the chat too much. Continue on.
Like one scene, he had Vincent Price riding on a horse and wanted him to take, his pistol.
It was twins, South.
And hold it over the horse's head and fire. It was going to be a blank, but it was still going to. What do you think the horse is going to do when you do that? When you
run
shoot,
and take off, and
it's going to
knock you off.
It's going to rear back,
Yeah.
and sure as shit, it did it. Knocked him off, and he's horribly pissed off.
Yeah.
And
love twins.
The antagonization went on so much where, like, Vincent Price would say something like, I've made 84 films, young man. How many have you made? And he comments back, 3 good ones.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but I've seen your other movies, Michael Reeves, wherever you're at, and I didn't think they were that great.
Yeah, they were clashing here.
So,
they didn't.
So they didn't get along, and
begrudgingly afterwards they
buried the hatchet, so to speak. If you know the end of the movie,
yeah.
Nudge, nudge.
Oh, yeah.
Or and not to spoil the end of the movie, but he even told Ian Ogilvy, the director, Michael Reeves, if you've seen the film, you know how it ends. I won't give it away just yet. But Ian Ogilvy said, the director told him, lay into Vincent. Meaning he wanted him to whoop his ass. And one of the producers overheard it and made sure Vincent had extra padding under his costume.
Really?
Yes. And if you see the end of the film, damn, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Not as gory as it could have been, like it would be today.
Yeah, but, you know what? Yeah, I won't give too much away. But yeah.
So that's the little bit of drama. It sounds like this director is just a little bit of a priss. He made a couple movies that were moderately successful. They are not great movies by any stretch of the imagination. They're okay. But She Beast, I don't think is worth a second watch. But
well, early on. I mean, if he died at 25, he was making movies.
He only made 3.
17, 18?
They made movies very fast back then. I think it was like a 2-year period.
Well,
he made 3 movies.
1958 was his first
it's
film.
not like a movie now. These weren't movies of like Lord of the Rings epic proportions. It was like maybe,
Oh my God! Look who's here.
Weeks.
We got a celebrity.
Hey,
Kim Workman. Hi, it's.
Oh, that's my daughter.
Oh!
Hi, honey.
Ted Drinks looks good. Great show, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, I took your juice, babe.
Oh boy, pink lemonade. But yeah. This again. This is kind of on a serious note here, if you want to say that. Has to deal with the whole hanging of witches and killing and torturing of witches back during the 1600s. And we'll get into the history.
Which went on even longer. It was going on in the 1400s.
Oh, there were 500, 600 years.
But the real character that Vincent Price plays, Matthew Hopkins, was a real person.
Yes.
We were talking about him. He was actually much younger.
Yep.
He was, what did I say, in his 20s, I think. He was actually only in his 20s.
Yeah.
And Vincent Price's partner in the movies, whose character's name is John Stearns, was also a real person. He was older than Matthew Hopkins.
Yeah, Matthew Hopkins was somewhere along the line. Again, they suspect that he died, the real life Hopkins, around 25, 29. So
of tuberculosis.
Yep.
He just withered away. He wasn't killed. He wasn't done away with. He was not sanctioned by Parliament to do what he was doing.
Right.
He was kind of a rogue character going from town to town, taking advantage of...
He was rogue.
What was going on, the furor at the time of everybody seeing devils in every corner. And...
Yeah, wasn't it just a crazy time? That I guess with the, the religious element and everything. And he came from a Puritan religious background where his father was a clergyman and...
It's just an amazing time. Like, say a man wanted to, take a woman, and she rebuked him.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden, I'm going to the magistrate. She's a witch. Then they put her in jail until someone like Matthew Hopkins comes around.
Yeah.
They pay him whatever the fee is, and they supposedly can extract a confession. And one thing the movie doesn't show is like any trials. There were trials.
Right.
You had to show evidence.
Well, within a 2-year period, I guess there can still be trials, but supposedly
the end result was the same.
Yeah, supposedly
so the movie just cuts out that part.
Yeah, but supposedly Hopkins, there were within like a 2-year period, there was kind of 300 deaths, hangings or tortures
attribute
just to him for witchcraft,
which accounted to about 60% of that century's, century, 100 years worth of, exterminating witches. 60% were just his in like a 2 to 4 year period. Oh, hey buddy, my boy's watching us too. How you doing?
Okay, yeah.
So it's actually kind of remarkable.
Yeah.
That how much they were responsible for. And
I think
they were kind of hounded from town to town until, it was finally, you stop doing this.
Yeah.
So the movie makes it seem like, he was granted these powers. In actuality, he was just doing it on his own. And he had other people with him. He had women followers with him. They would be the ones
to prick.
Yeah.
They would do the pricking, which was the they show it in the movie. But that's where they look for the mark of Satan. And usually
a birthmark, a mole, something like that.
And even if they didn't find one on the body after they shaved them down completely, because there were some hairy men back then, and
still is now.
Still is now. I can't find a mole anywhere underneath this hair.
Right.
But
we can't just let them go. We got to find something.
We can't.
And the idea was, what the mole, the mark, if you pricked it, if you poked it with this little poker, wouldn't feel any pain. They wouldn't scream. Wouldn't draw blood.
Right. And if they didn't find any marks or anything like that, they would just continue to prick all over until they find, this is an invisible mark of the beast.
And they had
Satan.
some trick ones, too. They had, I don't know if you read into it any at all. But
definitely Night of the Demons fans. But anyways, we did
a show. Look back on our YouTube. We did a show all about it.
Yeah. If you like cheesy 80s, go back in our library.
There's still a few we got to do, but we've done most of them.
Yeah, we got plenty.
They had retractable ones.
Yeah.
Now, did you know about those?
No.
Like spring-loaded. So that way, if they didn't find a spot, they pull out one of these trick ones, go like that on you, and it don't leave a mark, and the person didn't scream. And go, look!
Oh,
and
okay.
I first saw one of these in another movie, with Boris Karloff, no less, called Curse of the Crimson Altar. There's a character that has like an antique store, and he's got one. And he mentions what they used to do.
Yeah.
And, they had some with dull blades and sharp blades that they could retract and move.
Right.
There was trickery.
Yeah.
And so this really was almost a job for people that were really, masochistics. Yeah, really liked to inflict pain. It was almost always on women. Not always, but almost always on women. Yeah. And, of course there's a component to that.
Dino Reacts. What is going on? Nice to see you in here. I've heard a quote a lot. Vincent Price saw this as one of his greatest performances of his career, but I've always thought he much bigger and better roles.
I agree, 100%.
God, Dino Reacts, great channel. Go check him out. He deserves more subscribers. He loves horror. Really good across the ocean there. But I can name a million films better than this one, even though this is a good film.
His problem was the director just never, according to Vincent Price, the director just never conveyed it to him. Here's what I want, and here's why I'm doing this to you, and here's the kind of character I want you to play.
Right.
He didn't get that. He would give him things like, don't do that thing with your head. And he'd be like, what? He's like, you're doing it right now. Just don't do... Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because he was so resentful of the fact that he didn't get the actor he wanted.
Ted, again, historically, the whole Salem witch trial thing, especially this guy, 300 deaths within a couple year period. I mean, you got to think about serial killers and everything else. Back in the day, I mean,
that was the way. That was your bread and butter.
If you had and the guy got paid a good penny.
He got 20 shillings.
Which is like
maybe time working if he's out there, man. Maybe, I think it's like a pound.
Yeah,
I think it equates because I think a shilling is like a 20th of a.
He got paid good and a lot.
But this is the 1600s, so I mean, I don't know sterling conversions, but
but you think about it. I mean, the people that could that were into that and really, I mean, it's prime real estate for a serial killer to go, I'm going to become a Witchfinder General or whatever, a I'm not saying that's what he was, but man, in my eyes, he was. Yep. I mean, to go and just,
to torture people, and
with
to really have no evidence.
And think about the serial killer he is, if we want to call him that. He was self-appointed, but he did kill through trial, but 300 people. I mean, that's a darn big number.
I don't know about the whole serial killer aspect, but there was just such a religious fervor going on at that time.
Yeah.
And it just boggles my mind how people were such sheep.
Yeah.
And I know that's a popular word to use these days when talking about
sheep.
people.
Yeah, we're all
but
sheep.
But really, sheep. And so uneducated and stupid. And maybe that's why the movie grates on me, because people are it just irritates me. I just want to smack every one of those people.
Yep.
Really?
You are correct, Celtic Girl. Yeah, she's like Twins of Evil.
So Twins of Evil. And it's one of my favorite movies, one of the Karnstein trilogy.
Yeah, as you know, we did
Vampire Lovers and Lust for a Vampire.
Yes. And
all good, but Twins of Evil's probably maybe the best.
Yeah, we did that a while back. You may have gone and watched it at the time, but
we did it a while ago. You go back, you see it. It's fantastic.
Fantastic film.
And even just to partake in those trials, the what was it? The floating, the swimming test, the fire, the pricking that we talked about.
It's like it's a no-win situation. I mean, it's like
the hanging.
How can I prove that? Because they say they get the human to speak, but the devil is the one that's speaking for the person. It's so complicated, so diluted, and it's like, how did they even get away with that? But they did. They did, and it is history, and it's. It's very interesting.
And really, if you didn't like somebody, that's really what it did.
Psychos.
People were at least smart enough to know, if I go to the magistrate and say I saw him, cohorting with the devil, you can get him locked up.
Right.
Or if you owed somebody money, go get him locked up.
If you had a beef with anybody,
right.
Go see the magistrate and go find the Witchfinder.
And like we said, it wasn't always women, but it was so often women.
Yeah.
And it, I just feel, I don't mean to put the human race down, but I just feel like we're just one small push to going back to that sometimes. And with the great fire wizard in the sky.
Yep.
And let's evolve, man. I'm not saying there's I'm not saying there's not more to being a human than just crude matter, like Yoda would say. But man, come on.
I hear you.
Spiritually, it's like we're still living in caves.
Yeah, burning women alive, Celtic Girl. It's like back in the day.
And the part in the film where they do that.
Yeah.
And it's a guy's wife. He's got to stand there. They're holding him down. He's got to watch them do this to his wife.
Yeah.
And it was horrible.
It was very,
And they did it in an actual town where they did that.
Yeah.
Because this was actually filmed in the place, in the areas where Matthew Hopkins was going around and doing this stuff. These were the actual locations. And it's kind of weird how the beautiful countryside, when Richard is, going on his way to, find his woman or whatever.
On the horse.
Yep. the beautiful English countryside juxtaposed against the horrible things that are going on.
Yeah.
It's a
well,
contrast.
the movie too. I mean, it was controversial with the kind of sadomasochistic kind of,
which is only going to get worse in some movies to come.
Well, right.
Mark of the Devil.
But at the time,
like
I mean, people were really kind of up in arms with how they were treating the women, like when the one, I forget her name. They accused a few of witchcraft in the movie, and just the screaming alone, just it was like I spit on your grave. It was just very terrorizing and traumatizing to the brain, to watch that.
And people watch that for that was entertainment.
Yeah.
Like go to the hanging, go to this, back in Jesus' time. Oh, let's go to the stoning, like in Monty Python.
Let's go to the stoning, yeah.
Guys selling good rocks.
Good rocks there.
There's some good pointy ones.
Good pointy ones.
I mean, but I mean,
That's crazy,
Have we
man.
progressed that? I think if it was allowed, people would be doing it.
But yeah, but this movie's about an hour and a half long. I mean, it pretty much starts off with
Starts off with a woman screaming.
Pardon me.
And ends with a woman screaming.
Yes, it does. Yes, but oh my God, I'm belching here now.
It's they're doing a witch trial at the beginning of the film, and we're going to be introduced to a priest who actually was hanged by Matthew Hopkins. He did not have this beautiful niece, Hilary Dwyer,
right?
Who would play with Vincent Price in 2 more movies.
You're talking Sarah, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
The Oblong Box and Cry the Banshee.
The beautiful Sarah.
Who I just found out, because she is lovely. She's very pretty.
Oh, very innocent.
And she just died this past March, evidently of COVID-related.
Yeah.
If you want to, I don't know how England's marking their death certificates. Here in the States, I think doctors are putting it for everything.
Let me just say
you die of a toe infection, you got COVID.
She was an old woman.
Not that old.
How old was she?
Well, I don't know, but I mean,
come on, Ted.
She was in her 20s there in almost 1970, so.
Oh. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe grandma age, yes.
But news came out.
Not 90, not 80, 90
that she
old.
did pass away. Poor Sarah. Yeah, I do.
I saw that on Wikipedia anyway. Unless I'm wrong. I'm only as good as Wikipedia is.
Celtic Girl says it's like the snitches right now who tell on their neighbors with the social house lockdown crap.
Yeah. All the Karens out there.
Listen, don't even get me started with that. Because
we could do a show on it.
I am
ruffle everyone's feathers.
Ruffle everyboys' feathers. It's all ridiculous. But anyway.
I'm a nurse, by the way.
Yes.
All right?
and you agree
Y'all can
with
ask me anything because I've seen it.
Yeah. But what were we talking about?
Just how the movie started.
Oh yeah.
And
introduced to Sarah.
This happens
Sarah.
during the English Civil War, and this is
the priest in the Civil War.
At this point in the war, I think there's like King George II versus Oliver Cromwell.
Right.
And
right.
And so we've got 2 armies going back. It doesn't really depict any battles.
No battles.
But
yeah, just low budget. There were very few people, but the cast of like 11 or 12, whatever. They made it seem like the soldiers are riding on the horses and they're gathering to the general and all that. But yeah, there's it's what it is. But But yeah, no, we're slowly the Vincent Price's character.
Right. Well, we meet the character Ian Ogilvy's character Richard.
Right.
He's a soldier for Oliver Cromwell.
Yeah.
And he's
he most certainly is.
The way we're introduced to him is he's riding with his captain, a couple of his other soldier friends, and a couple of snipers, royalist snipers, take a shot.
Yeah.
And through a course of events, he ends up saving his captain or his commanding officer. I don't know. If
Captain, my captain. Yeah.
He saves him from getting his brains blown out.
Right.
And for that bravery, he gets a couple days leave because he's not too far from where his lady love is.
Yeah.
And
we got in trouble for that though.
Well, not yet.
Well, that was the second time.
Well, he goes to see her for a couple days,
yeah.
And I feel bad that this lady died of COVID stuff. But anyway,
let's stop dwelling
what are you gonna do?
It,
It's like there you go. There's like the first actor to die of COVID. and she gets no press.
But yeah, so they're accusing the preacher of
dove off a cliff, died of COVID.
Dove off a cliff, died of COVID. Celtic Girl, that is good.
Death certificate, died of COVID.
Oh, that's perfect.
Well, we can't rule it out.
You wrapped it in a nutshell.
And honestly,
there.
this is just because insurance is paying out more.
Yeah.
And I mean,
hey, let's not
I know, but it's like, if you're a doctor, it's like, well, screw it, why not?
Yeah, I know.
But what you don't realize is it's skewing all these numbers, and you're gonna have someone out there who disagrees with me. But
of course, that's why I don't talk about it. But anyway,
so
no.
And
you guys literally know every single movie. It's pretty cool. Well, thank you, Celtic Girl.
Well, the good ones anyway.
Yeah. Well, not so good
you asked me about something
either.
Modern. I don't know, Jack.
Yeah, it's mostly the old stuff. But anyways, continue. Come on.
He asks he asks her uncle for the priest, the hand in marriage, and he makes him promise if you
take her away from this
get her
town.
out of this area, get the HE double hockey sticks out of here.
There's a Witchfinder General
dark times are coming.
Yeah, dark times.
And sure as shit, here come when the soldiers had his couple of days leave. He's riding away.
Yeah.
And
Let me shake up my yoo-hoo.
He sees that one.
Oh wait, I forgot to do our sponsor real quick. Hold that thought. Today's episode of the Late Late Horror Show is brought to you by Yoo-Hoo and Simply Lemonade.
Not sponsored, but should be.
Oh wait, what? I'm sponsored. Anyways. And
as he's riding away, there's that one hick that just grated my cheese.
Grated your cheese?
The whole movie. That one with that funky hat and we're waiting for a lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
It must be very important if you're waiting to meet a lawyer this time of night.
I know, it's like they've waited all night. But there were no phones, no
and that's
mailmen.
What it is. He probably... They don't say why. They're trying to say the priest is an idolater. I don't see any evidence.
An idolater.
A papist, whatever, in league with Satan.
A papist? What is that? Somebody who takes advantage of paper?
Yes.
A papist?
It's a papist. Somebody rubs paper on their genitals.
They're a papist.
A papist.
How could you do that to that paper?
What did that paper
You're a papist. Okay, go ahead.
That guy could have had eyes on that girl or something. Knew he wasn't going to get her, so he's like, well, I'm just going to kill her, so I'm going to call Matthew Hopkins.
Baby's got blue
They never
eyes.
said why they, Who knows? But, certainly he comes.
Yeah.
And they immediately start stabbing the priest. Immediately just start poking.
Let's hurry up. And
he does have like these moles
He does have the moles on his... Yeah, I was going to say that.
And then I love when Vincent Price says, set him to running. And I just start running him around the dining room table.
Like they did mowing.
But that thing is this big. They punctured a lung, a liver.
I was saying, if you're pricking him, you're going to kill him.
He poked his kidney, piss is shooting out his side.
You're killing everything. And when they got him up in, here, hold on a second. Raving Lunatic in YouTube chat, greetings and salutations, Dino and Ted. Wish I could stick around longer, but working on my own stuff. You know it. Just wanted to show my support. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping by, Raving Lunatic. But I was going to say, when they start running him around the room, do you know exactly where my head went to?
Where?
Mo and Larry picking up Shemp, who they were giving the pill to go to sleep.
Oh, okay.
And
you gotta wake up.
Constantly walking around the room, putting him in the shower to wake him up. Yeah, to wake him up. And he's going, I just need my sleep. No, we gotta keep you up. You overdosed.
But just that poker. I'm sure they're not cleaning it off with alcohol afterwards. They're spreading who knows what. Yeah. The guy's gonna get tetanus for sure.
Yeah, you think that's clean?
Least of his worries.
That little spike they're popping.
He's probably gonna die anyway. He's gonna get some raging infection and die.
Well, later on, when Vincent Price's character Matthew Hopkins, sees Sarah after they put him.
Yeah, sees her out the window.
Yeah, and he goes and confronts her, and she basically. He basically says, can I come to your...
He puts the moves on her right away.
Room, yeah.
They're saying it without saying it.
Right. But
maybe there's a way you can show me some evidence that he's innocent.
Well, right. He's... that's the whole point of the Salem witch trial thing and getting these... All women mostly, getting them. It's to take advantage of them, and if they don't, when they're done with them, they dispose of them. What kind of mind that is beyond me. But...
even after that, he says, even when he does come to her chamber,
yeah.
He's going to be tried and confessed, and he must hang.
And my point to that is, when they made that deal, and she said, at least put him in, let him live in the jail or whatever, and they show him in the jail, okay, with those. All cut up in the back, like knife wounds in the back.
Hands up like this.
The hands up like this.
He's lucky they hung him right side up.
A rat.
Half the time they'd forget.
A rat right next to him, and I'm like going, how could she actually go through with that and say, if you keep him alive in jail, because who the hell wants to live like that?
With your hands like this the rest of your life.
This the rest of life. And the guy threw in bread.
I know. How's he going to pick it up?
I'm like...
His hands are like this.
Yeah. The rat's going to eat it. I'm feeding the rats. There you go.
Yeah, that's what he keeps telling his partner, John Stearns. Leave him in jail for now. Leave him in jail for now. While he's getting his peace, leave him in jail.
Yeah.
You know, as long as the peace is. We had a couple questions here about if there's any differences between the different cuts of this movie.
Good question, Celtic Girl from YouTube.
In the UK, it was called Witchfinder General. When it opened in the United States, they liked to have as many Vincent Price movies relate to those very profitable and popular Roger Corman, Edgar Allan Poe stories.
Right.
So they changed the name to The Conqueror Worm in the States.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of opening and closing narration by Vincent Price, just reading the poem, because Conqueror Worm is just a poem. It's not a story by Edgar Allan Poe. And
let's make a movie about the poem.
There wasn't really anything cut in the United States. They were fine with the violence and everything.
Yeah.
In the UK, a couple minutes were cut, and Michael Reeves had to make some other trims because in the UK they're much... I don't know. I can't speak for now.
In the 60s they were.
They were definitely...
60s, 70s.
They were never big on violence.
Yeah.
Especially any violence...
Nudity,
of a sexual nature.
Yeah.
You know, blood splattered on boobs, or people taking pleasure in causing sadistic pain to people, like this movie kind of does. Not so much, nudity and sex. They're not hung up about that. But when you combine it with violence, they do not like that. So, and I can see that. So,
well, can you?
I can understand it.
Okay.
Because that's getting into deviant kind of thinking. So actually in the UK it was cut. In the United States it wasn't. But some additional scenes were shot for the German market that had some nudity, like the barroom wenches.
Thank you, Sal.
Were nude. So if you've ever seen the
barroom
version
wenches,
and a version with that has been released in the States.
Yeah.
So that's what they're called, the barroom wenches and the harlots. So if you've seen a version that had nudity in it like that, then that's like the full uncut version. But Michael Reeves didn't even direct those scenes. One of the producers did because he refused to direct them. So it's not even really part of his movie anyway. They just, it's kind of like certain markets, like they would convince all the Hammer girls, we're just going to do this little nude scene, but it's just for the Japanese market. No one's ever going to see it and slam it. It's in there.
Just for the Japanese
They gave that story to every single Hammer girl. And they all bought it.
Let's give it to the Japanese.
It's just for the Japanese version.
Yeah,
right. Tell it to Ingrid Pitt and all them in Vampire Lovers. Like, hey, whoa!
But but we're up to pretty much this middle of that movie. Is kind of
they hang the priest ultimately,
right?
Richard, the soldier, gets wind of this. Gets wind of what's going on. He had just left, and he's assigned to get some horses. They need new horses. Yeah. There's an upcoming battle and blah 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 blah. When he hears that, he just takes off. He says, "There's a couple of soldiers coming. Tell them I was delayed. I'll be back." Yeah. He's essentially deserting, to go check this out. He doesn't arrive in time to save the priest, unfortunately. No. He does find his Sarah, his fiancée. There's no one to marry them. She's almost ashamed to look at him because of what happened. Yeah. He doesn't hold that against her, though. She had no choice, really. And John Stearns forced himself on her. They don't show that on screen, but that happened. Right. And quite frankly, if she hadn't given herself to Michael Hopkins, he would have taken. So what difference does it make?
Yeah, poor Sarah. She's just being taken advantage of, and eventually they end up leaving, and she's just set aside in the... I think she goes over to the church.
Right.
Spends most of her time there.
And it's demolished.
It is demolished until her husband...
Well, they get married right there in the church. They sort of commit themselves to each other right there.
Yes.
And he swears an oath that he will... make the murderers of her uncle pay. Right. Which you're not supposed to do in church. You're not supposed to make an oath like that.
Right. In the church, too, it's like it says witch on the back wall and everything. It's like...
And he gives her some money. He tells her a town to go to. Forgive me, I can't remember the name of the town. But it is a real town. And to just, get yourself a room and stay there. Yeah. Little does she know, shit that's where Matthew Hopkins is going to be.
Yeah, that's
anytime.
the next village he's coming over.
His next stop.
Yeah, Dino reacts on YouTube. I never realized Witchfinder was called Conqueror Worm in the U.S. Was there a reason for the name change?
Yeah, I mentioned a few minutes ago. AIP was a co-producer. That's an American company. Co-producer for this film with Tygon.
Yeah.
That was the British company that did it. They did Blood on Satan's Claw. Did a few other movies. They were kind of like the up and coming when Hammer was in the decline.
Yeah.
But there just wasn't any market for these kinds of movies really anymore as the 70s went on. And AIP, just as I said, just wanted to capitalize on the popularity and profitability of the Roger Corman, Edgar Allan Poe films with Vincent Price, like Fall of the House of Usher, Pit and the Pendulum, The Raven, all those. So they gave it an Edgar Allan Poe title. Just like, they did it with Oblong Box and a couple of others that almost had nothing to do with Edgar Allan Poe. But, Universal did that too. They did The Raven, which had nothing to do. They did Murders in the Rue Morgue, which had nothing to do.
Oh, there's been plenty of movies where it's just like they'll take a sentence and turn it into a movie.
Lovecraft is the big one.
That's the one.
His name is attached to so many movies that have nothing to do with any of his stories.
Yeah. Can I say real quick? Celtic Girl from YouTube says Ingrid Pitt legend. You know it. We've talked about it plenty.
We love those movies. We love those movies. She was tough as nails, man. She was a Holocaust survivor, survived concentration camps.
COVID, everything.
She would have survived COVID.
Yes.
COVID would have ran away.
Yeah.
You survive a concentration camp, I don't think you got much to worry about.
Yep.
She's a tough broad.
Yep. But she but yeah,
I would suspect.
But yeah, her husband. What's his name again?
Richard.
Can't
remember his last name. Richard Marshall, maybe, or something. I don't know.
Made him a captain.
This isn't one of my favorite Vincent Price movies, so I don't remember all the
it's all right.
names.
But Richard sends her off to that village, and he's got to go back to war.
Yeah, he's got to get back in.
So
and his captain gives him, kind of a little friendly chewing out.
Yeah.
But that was all right.
And when Vincent Price, I should call them Matthew Hopkins and Richard Marshall, when they go to the actual village where Sarah is, ends up not really seeing her there because she's held up in a room. But you do see them with the other witches.
Yep. Oh, and we should back up a little bit because before they hang the priest in the previous village, they do the swimming test. And this was where they tie them up and toss them off a bridge into the water. I think in real life they had them tied to a chair, though.
Yeah, I think one of them were tied to a chair. I can't remember.
One of them looked like old as a bag, no teeth, and go, "But I'm with child." And then the guy who says, "Who'd want to impregnate you, you bat?" My God!
All the crazy townsfolk are around watching.
She's
they get
probably
close up
30.
to the kids.
Back then she's probably 30.
Yeah, 30, but she looked like she was 60
death.
or something like that.
And they huck you over the bridge into the water, and if you sink, then obviously you were innocent.
Right.
And if you float, well, that's the devil. You're in
That's the devil.
And everyone floats. Unless you start drinking water and drowning.
Well, you got to float and swim. Otherwise, so everybody's a witch. Dino reacts. He says the violence and nudity censorship continued into almost the 90s with video nasties, right?
In the UK, yes.
In the UK,
the famous
and Ireland.
list.
Lots was censored and cut up, unfortunately.
Yes.
Dino reacts. I think you are in Ireland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I believe it's Ireland. You tell me if I'm wrong.
And you should look at that list sometimes. Just the movies that were... some of them...
Video nasty.
Probably had no business being on there.
Right.
Because there was nothing that bad.
Yeah.
Some of them, But it's an interesing list to look at if you've never done it.
Yeah.
We could do a show on the list.
But getting back to the village with
so they go,
Sarah.
So now, they're in this new village. It starts with an L. I can't remember the name.
I know. Lamanshire.
Something like that.
Lamanshire.
Let's call it that.
Yeah, there you go.
And... they're there. Matthew's got he was called in.
Real quick, we got questions. That's why I like to go live. I love taking these questions. Celtic Girl from YouTube chat says, do you guys think her best film is Vampire Lovers? Ingrid Pitt, I'm guessing you're thinking?
Probably. But she's only got a very small part in Wicker Man.
She's not in Twins of Evil, is she?
No.
Yeah, Vampire
and
Lovers.
that was the only Hammer film she was in.
Yeah.
But she's also really fun in The House That Dripped Blood, where she's, which is like one of those anthology movies. But as far as a starring role, she's fantastic in that film.
Yeah.
Vampire Lover. She's, the star of the show in that. And, just that, I always say, that's my definition of a Hammer movie, just like a misty, moonlit cemetery, and then, Ingrid Pitt with a, lacy negligee or whatever nightgown walking through it, with fangs and everything. That's a Hammer movie. That's the definition of a really good Hammer. We certainly
talked about
and that's what's in that movie. So
Vampire Lovers, yeah.
I mean, I'd probably say, I've loved it ever since the first time I saw it.
Yes.
And it was at that video store where I was actually able to rent that the first time. I remember our
Beware Video.
Great video store we used to have here. I don't know what happened to the nice folks that used to run it, but it was a great store.
Yeah, your fantastic old video VHS store that had everything from
this was only
exploitation.
Right. You weren't finding The Rock here.
No.
Not that kind of stuff.
I mean, they even had, videos that independent filmmakers in our area did, and had
you rented one. It was like a zombie movie.
Yeah,
there was a character dressed like Axl Rose. It was like teenagers.
Yeah, fun stuff.
It was hilarious.
Missed that.
But they had, a Bigfoot section, a Vincent Price section, a Hammer section.
Yeah.
What else did they have? I mean, anything like that.
Exploitation
films.
Exploitation. They had it all.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of movies that they did. I love they had a Bigfoot section. I do remember that.
I remember
like all the cheesy documentary Sasquatch, Legend of Boggy Creek.
Boggy Creek,
anything like that. They had those kinds of things. I mean, that's where I first was able to rent. I'd always heard of Wicker Man and Suspiria, and I could never see them because Blockbuster didn't have them. Yep. Movie Mart didn't have them. The Hollywood Video didn't have them. Yep. And they had them. So it took me a long time to finally see those movies. I'd read about it in magazines. I knew what they were about, but I couldn't see them.
Right.
And I was so upset because when I saw Wicker Man on tape the first time, then a couple years later, whenever DVDs started getting real popular, they put Wicker Man out. So I immediately bought it. And there was like all these parts that weren't in it. I remember when I had the tape, I was like, there's all these parts in the tape that aren't in it. But now there's like the extended version. And unfortunately, we talked about this during the show. Those scenes are very bad quality.
Yeah, that's a question I think for you could take. There's an amazing Nightwish song edited to her in Vampire Lovers on YouTube.
I am a Nightwish fan, as well as my wife. I wonder... Oh, it's probably... I'll bet it's Slaying the Dreamer. I'll bet that's the song, because that's like the vampire song. You have to let me know if I'm right. I haven't seen it, but if I had to guess the song, I'd guess that was probably the song.
Right. But anyways, getting back to the movie.
Seen them twice, by the way.
Yeah. But getting back to the movie, Vincent Price, he does the whole, he puts her up against the fire and leans her into the fire.
Yes.
And of course she burns.
What were they expecting?
If she doesn't...
A tuna on rye?
If she doesn't burn, she's a witch. But if she burns, she's not. So she wasn't. Sorry. I mean, do they do that?
She's a witch. If she doesn't burn, she's a witch.
Yeah, if she burns, she's... It's so nuts. But they end up leaving town, right? So that's where that ends, right? They end up leaving town.
Well, a couple things happen.
Thus,
the Richard finds out where Matthew's going.
Okay.
Gets to that village, and Matthew's not there, but John Stearns, his partner, is.
Yeah.
They get into a brouhaha in the bar room, and I think unrightfully so. The bartender knocks out Richard, the soldier, and lets John get away.
Right.
And he declares, I'm Sarah, whoever her last name's husband.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a no shit day.
Mm-hmm.
So he tears ass.
I thought he would be. I thought Richard Marshall would be. Vincent Price's lackey. Mm-hmm. I thought he would be a little bit tougher than he was, but Richard.
He's a trained soldier, though.
Yeah, that's
he's
true.
trained to kill motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
let's give
right.
him that. He's
you're
a soldier.
Right. You're right.
And
That's true.
let's put it this way: he's got a hell of a lot more to fight for than John does.
Yeah.
No matter how mad John is, he ain't
Yeah.
going to be as mad.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing in a fight too. You got to remember who's madder.
Yeah.
Because that's the person who's gonna tear
A
you.
little bit more adrenaline pushes you a little bit more.
Yes, it will.
So, yeah.
So John Stearns tears ass. It's a big horse chase.
Mm-hmm.
He ends up running into Matthew on his way back. Says, "Hey, that's Sarah's husband. He's after our blood. We got to get out of here."
Yeah.
So they hide. They're trying to make it to a different town. This is the town that Sarah's at.
Yeah.
Because they got some business there.
Right.
And they end up getting waylaid by some of Richard's soldier friends because they need horses, and they can basically just take your horse and say, well, after the war, we'll pay you back for it.
After the war.
I mean, I don't know if they're giving out receipts or something. I have no idea.
Right.
But, they end up... Matthew takes off, gets away.
Right. There's a brouhaha.
The brouhaha.
A brouhaha.
Leaves Stearns to fend for himself, ends up getting shot in the arm.
Yeah.
Gets his horse taken, makes his way to that town eventually, re-hooks up with Matthew after this burning that we were just talking about.
And I think John's pissed off because Matthew kind of left him hanging there to die and stuff. So he's like, But once he's there in the town, and
Matthew pulls out that pistol. It's like, don't think for a second I won't do this, and no one's going to say boo to me. Mm-hmm. I'll just say you're a witch. Right. And you know what is kind of interesting in real life, man. Even Matthew Hopkins was accused of it. Like, you know so much about this. How do we know you're not in league with the devil too? Yeah. They had to put up with their own shit too sometimes.
Well, in real life, for a little bit there.
They were not popular. The authorities were after them.
Well, from the beginning when they started.
Mission.
Oh yeah. Well, and if you got certain people behind you that are letting you and allowing you to do these things, you got kind of carte blanche, to do it.
Right.
So,
and in the movie, that's basically what he has. Yeah. I mean, apart from him being a real person and John Stearns being a real person and that priest being hung.
Right.
The rest of the movie's pretty much all made up, except for the locations.
Right.
But that's okay. I mean, it's based on a novel. It's based. Those guys wrote
based
books.
On a novel.
Both of those guys, Hopkins and Stearns, they both wrote books.
Right. Yeah.
So, but they do catch sight of Sarah because for some stupid reason she's out and about on the street. She looks out the window and sees the burning. She doesn't, but she sees it's Matthew.
Yeah. And
then stupidly goes out in the street. I mean, I guess you got to somehow propel the story.
She knew he was there, but you shouldn't be out there if you know he's there. But
and then Richard's going to finally show up into the picture. Yeah. They get captured. They kind of get the best of them,
right?
And get taken to the castle in the town, where they're going to be tortured and accused of witchcraft, and they're just going to get rid of them because they're trouble.
Yeah,
that's basically the thing. Matthew's like, well, we'll go to whatever lengths we have to get rid of him before he gets rid of us.
We'll go to the magistrate, and he knows him,
and he just says to him, you go ahead, and right there he said, they were, Beauty of the Beast. Oh, I love that song. That's a beautiful 10-minute song. I'll have to watch that. Thank you for the link. I will.
The song in
check that
tribute to Ingrid Pitt is "Beauty of the Beast." Not sure if the link will work.
Well, I'll find it. Yeah. I'll find it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I do love that song. It's actually one of my favorite songs. That's off the Century Child record. Great record.
Very cool.
With their original singer, who was so much better than what they have.
Yeah.
Even there's nothing wrong with what they have now.
Not that there's anything wrong with it, but
she was just better.
Yeah. So
the good thing is. Yeah. Richard's got some of his soldier buddies with him now,
right?
And
they
end up
good
rescuing him. They go to the castle.
They were kind of a little useless, but I guess they did.
Well, not in the end.
Yeah,
because they're being tortured. She's being.
They let that guard jab him with the knife, and come on.
The one.
They're soldiers.
The one did.
I know.
Maybe he was new.
Okay, I'm going too far. But yeah.
And long story short, end of the movie, his soldier buddies get into the castle. They
break down into
one of them ends up getting killed by one of the guards. They get rid of the other guard. they get in there, and by that time,
did you notice
Richard's
that
gotten himself loose?
Yeah, and you noticed they didn't have any right guard, right? I mean, it's
no right
stunk
guard,
down
just
there.
left guard.
Okay, yeah. But, no.
I was listening to the crickets.
Okay, so dumb jokes is what you get here.
And,
but yeah.
And he takes his when Richard gets loose, he takes his is it his spur?
He's got like a
and
spur
right
on the
into
back
John
of his
Stern's eye.
Yeah.
That's gotta hurt.
That was cool. I mean, I looked
was,
at that and I'm like, "Oh, where'd that come from?"
That was rough. That was rough.
He took care of him, man.
And grabs an axe, and this is what I was saying that when the director told Ian Ogilvy, when this happens, you go to town on Vincent Price.
Yeah.
Because he wanted Ian Ogilvy's character just to wail on Vincent Price, and which he does. It's an axe. He takes the axe, and he's chopping and chopping. I mean, you don't see limbs or anything flying like you should.
Left guard, LOL.
Somebody got it.
Dumb jokes, man. But anyways, go ahead.
And evidently doesn't kill him yet,
right?
Because when his I forget his name, but when his soldier buddy comes in, he pulls his pistol, can't believe what he's seeing, and just shoots Matthew in the head.
Oh yeah.
And then that seems to send Richard into a rage. You took him from me. You took him from me.
Yep.
He keeps saying that. It's like he would go to die
was
anyway.
But yeah, the way he was hitting him with that hatchet, though, like you said earlier, I mean, it was unbelievable.
Cut him up into itty bitty pieces.
I could see Vincent Price on the set saying, what the, calm down a bit here, man. What the hell you doing, man? Hey, and the YouTube chat,
it ends with Hilary Dwyer, Sarah's character, just laying on this bed here where they were torturing her and screaming, and it just freeze frames and goes into the credits and the end of the movie. It's a popular movie. It's a hard watch,
Hey, Dave Plouffe, YouTube chat. Thank you for showing up. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's
sent me some Psycho trivia questions, so
cool.
We're set for one of those soon. But anyways,
it's not one of my favorite Vincent Price movies because I prefer, the supernatural. I prefer the Edgar Allan Poe, the Gothic stuff, and or something like Comedy of Terrors or The Raven or. Something like that. Those are my favorite ones.
Yeah. No, like I said,
but I
House
certainly
of Usher
don't hate it.
Yeah.
It's just not one of the ones I revisit often.
Out of the three, it's the least of the folk
horror trilogy.
But still an okay watch. I mean, hell, I wouldn't say don't watch it. I mean, I would recommend it.
It's a subdued Vincent Price performance purposely.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, like I said, it's almost like Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. It's like he's hardly in it.
Yeah.
He's probably in the movie for 20 minutes. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. No, but a movie we wanted to get to since we did the other two.
Yes, it's about time.
So we wrapped up the trilogy, which is great. Almost right at the end of the show, he's done with his pink lemonade.
I wrapped up my limeade.
Yeah. But that was good. We may be going on a kind of a full moon.
I've been watching a lot of full moon.
Full moon,
but
kind
we love
of
full moon.
Thing here.
Or should I say, I love the idea of full moon.
Yeah.
I don't love every full moon movie, but
They're
I love
fun.
the idea.
They're fun.
I would love to meet those guys and see the set. And,
hang out at the Charles Baines Castle and,
I respect what he has tried to do and has done.
Right.
What he accomplished in the 90s.
What he accomplished in the 90s was fantastic for me.
I mean,
and for you.
For doing it yourself.
Yes.
And not relying on the studio system and making your own franchises.
Can't
and
rely on the
movies.
system.
It was not bad. He had some success.
Yeah.
And, just the way movies are now, it's just getting harder. So I'm still looking forward to seeing some of these new ones that are coming out.
Yes. But so there you go. I'm not sure. We're going to discuss and talk about what movie we do next. I'm going to plan on going live every Tuesday. I'm going to plan on going live every Saturday night with the trivia night. And
do you think these people don't get dates or have places to go?
A little bit of something in between.
Oh, it's lockdown practically.
Yeah, everybody's locked down. Hey, I mean...
You should wear your mask. We should do a show wearing masks.
We had 5 weeks of... see, this is how bad YouTube is. This is why... I'll talk about something real quick in a minute. But YouTube is just... We had 5 weeks for certain reasons. 5 whole weeks that we weren't doing anything. I didn't know if we were coming back or anything. Takes 5 weeks, and look, we got 4 people watching us live. I'm glad Celtic you're here. Dino Reacts, thank you guys. Dave Plufay's in here.
Yeah, we had good questions here.
Hey,
She's even mentioned Vincent Price's daughter.
I don't even care.
She comes to conventions around here all the time.
Yeah, I don't even care if there's just 4 people watching, really. But I'd like there to be more. But because you guys are so great. But my point is,
Our show's a little more selective.
You're gone.
We don't take the riff-raff.
My point is, you're gone a few weeks, and YouTube's algorithm just goes, "Oop, they're not here no more." So it's kind of whacked out. But I'm streaming right now. I'm streaming on Twitter also, and 3 Facebook groups: the Late Late Horror Show page, Horror Town, my Facebook group, the Dino and Ted Show Facebook page, and we're live on Twitter and Daily Motion and Twitch. So there you go. Bring Ted's sister back.
We have a plan.
We do. Talk about it.
Now listen.
Oh, let me say real quick.
Check her YouTube. Angie Workman.
Okay, go ahead.
Check her YouTube out. She's got this little character she's created named Stu.
It's funny as hell.
It started out as a Snapchat filter, but when that disappeared, she actually went and bought the shit to make the costume.
Yeah.
And her character's an exterminator, and we thought of doing like one of those big bug movies.
Yeah.
And having her over here in character.
Yeah. She
that's something we're contemplating doing again. So
we'll have her back over again. We will.
Wheels in motion.
And I've got a lot of different.
And I got the perfect movie for her too.
Got a lot of different plans and all that. I mean, with everything I've got. I mean, you guys may not know, but I've been going through film school. I've got all kinds of equipment and stuff here, and a few more weeks. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and ideas are coming up and stuff. But let me get to. I enjoy your repertoire, says Felix. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'm subscribed. Stu is flipping great. Oh, Felix.
See?
So he does watch. He does
okay.
watch. And let me go back to Celtic Girl real quick because I interrupted you. I saw an interview with Vincent Price's daughter a month or 2 ago. She seems really nice and spoke very proudly of her dad. Yeah, plenty of interviews.
Right.
She's
and
like that.
We have a couple different conventions that come up. We get Cinema Wasteland.
Cinema Wasteland.
She's been there. And we get Ghoulardi Fest, which is Ghoulardi was one of our local horror hosts back in the 60s, 70s.
Oh, yeah.
And every year there's still a Ghoulardi Fest, and she comes to that almost every year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we get some good people every
Well,
now
I think
and
she also
then
asked what's Full Moon. Maybe she doesn't know.
I don't know Full Moon. What is it?
Full Moon is if you've heard of the Puppet Master movies,
Puppet Master,
Subspecies, Evil Bong, stuff like that. It's just an independent studio that starting in the late 80s started producing
fantastic cheesy 80s movies.
Just
like Head of the Family. We've done plenty of them. You've got to see
Head of the Family. That's fun.
And we are waiting for Bride of the Head of the Family. That should come out around Halloween or something.
I'll tell you what. I wherever you're located, if you're able to download an app called Tubi, Tubi, I don't know if it's available in other countries, but there's a lot of full moon movies on there, and they even have their own little heading, Full Moon.
Yes.
And a lot of the movies are there, and you can try a few out. See what you think.
Tubi TV. Yeah, check that out. Lots of full moon entertainment, and most of them are worth watching. But
the Puppet Master movies, the first 3 Subspecies movies.
Yeah.
Head of the Family that you mentioned, and a handful of others. We did Doll Man last week.
Dollman was fun. If you guys didn't watch our Dollman show, I mean, movie aside, we
had a good time.
Me and Ted had a good time. It was fun, and we were just because I think it was our first show back after 5 weeks,
right?
And I'm just jumping for joy that I'm alive.
The one we went with. Out of all the movies there.
Yeah.
Full Moon's run by a guy named Charles Band, who's really cool. You can go to Full Moon Direct and check. Boy, he should pay me.
Yeah, well,
hey, that son of a bitch should really pay me.
If we go on a little spree here, we'll see what happens. But yeah,
he used to have
Tubi is great.
Empire Studios used to be,
Lots
and that's where
horror.
you got stuff. He was involved with stuff like Reanimator, From Beyond,
Yeah,
Ghoulies, Troll, stuff like that in the 80s. Yeah. So that's where he started, and then Full Moon's where we are now.
Yeah. So look forward to that. Next week we're going to pick a good. I got it in my head. I'm not going to say it to you guys.
This is really cool. How long did you guys get to talk? Oh wait, I'm sorry. Oh, she's talking to somebody else. Forgive me.
Her and Dave, I think, are going back.
Sorry,
and forth.
forgive me.
Because he saw
intrude on your conversation.
How dare you? But yeah, you guys.
I thought she was asking us how long we talk, like until the cows come home. Until my wife says I have to go home.
Lots of Tubi and boobies in Full Moon films. Yes.
There are some pretty girls in those movies, but there's also I mostly like the puppets. Well, yeah. I like the puppets and the practical effects and the little ginger dead man, and I just think they're
Ted
all
wants
really
me to do Ooga Booga, and we'll see if we do it or not. We'll get
that's gonna be man. If we don't get in trouble for that movie, I don't.
Celtic, I'm in California, so it will work here.
Oh shit! Sure. Okay, well when you got a name like that, I wasn't sure. Thought you could have been Irish for God's sake.
Yeah, could have been. But anyways, this was fun as always. Yeah, great movie, great talk here. Thank you guys for showing up. Until next week, we will be live doing the same thing.
Live like a suicide.
So this seems to have worked out real good. I'm going to check on Twitter and see how that went, and the Facebook pages and Daily Motion and Twitch and all that, and see how it came out. I'm trying all the platforms to see which one kind of sticks out a little bit more in the end. So, sticks out in the end. But, let me end this, the app. Yeah, Tubi's got an app or website.
You could throw it on your Roku if you got a smart TV, or you could put it on your phone, tablet, whatever you want. I got them on both.
Yeah. So there you go, you guys. Until next week, thank you all for stopping by, and I will see you guys.